Chennai. Okay, let's begin now. So, if you have been watching PHP, in previous lecture, we were talking about what we call PHP functions. Sorry, functions. No, I believe in previous class we talked about using form data and reading form data. In that also we had talked about reading form data from a CV creator. Okay, in which we developed a simple CV program which generates a CV automatically. Now moving further today, basically we need to discuss about your what we call functions within PHP. Okay. Now functions within PHP are again a very useful mechanism by which we try to process various different code which is supposed to be repeated and which is supposed to be used again and again. Okay. So in this case, using functions allows us to process certain set of instructions very easily, very conveniently. For example, let's just come back here, HTML, \HTML, and within this we used to write head and \head, body and \body. Okay, so we create a simple HTML page, Control S, save it. Again, we have been talking about this continuously. Last time also some students had a problem with that. Whenever we work with PHP, we need to have a server, and we installed XAMPP server. So up till now, I have not received any comments. So that means everybody is following it accurately, and you have installed XAMPP and it's working fine. If you are having problem with XAMPP, again, I will be uploading other lectures as well. Leave your comments below of any on lecture that let me know if you are having any problem, so that I can address it timely. Okay. So hopefully XAMPP should not have a problem, but some problems have been addressed and I've talked about in previous lecture. You can follow them. So again, once you come into XAMPP, go into HD documents, and I've been creating folders here. So within this folder, let me create a function, and let's just create, for example, test function.php. Now in PHP, we save the file as PHP with .php. Now I'm using Sublime editor, so here currently save as type is file as. This error is occurring with many students that they just save it as normal test function. If you do this, it will not be considered as a PHP file, or it might not be considered as a PHP file. So do ensure that you give the .php extension. Otherwise, come into save as and make sure you select the appropriate extension type here. So in our case, PHP. Okay, so if you select now, .php is automatically removed. So do ensure that you give extension properly, and then save the file on your XAMPP server. Once you've saved the file on a XAMPP server, now basically you're able to run the code. Within PHP, for example, let's just give it a heading, PHP functions example. Okay, and let's just close this, and then let's just start PHP and close PHP code. Okay, so as discussed in previous class, every time we need to write a PHP, we need to have this PHP block. This will allow us to write and execute the code. Remaining is HTML. Only this portion becomes dynamically generated and calculated by PHP itself. Okay, so when the server reads it, server will be majorly responsible whatever you write inside this PHP code. Here we basically declare something called functions. Okay, functions are basically, sorry, Control Z. Function is basically a keyword in our PHP, and then we write the function name, block start, block close. Sorry, block start, block close. Okay, so this is a typical syntax of a function. We write the keyword function. It's a reserved word keyword that defines that this is a function, and you are declaring a function body. This is the function name. You specify a name of your function, which can be any name based on the purpose that function is going to serve. The number of arguments within the brackets and the block close and block start. Now, typically we define function as a block of code that performs a specific task. Here, the purpose of this function is that it will perform a specific task. We write the code in functions because we need to execute or do the same task multiple times based on different values. For example, calculator application. So we write a code inside a function for doing addition. So every time we need to do addition, we call that function, meaning that now we do not need to repeat the code again and again. So numerous times we come across various different functions. PHP itself has more than 1000 built-in functions. Okay, so there are more than 1000 built-in functions available within PHP throughout different frameworks that can be used. In our case, we create our own function. So this is called a function declaration. Again, this declaration requires you to write a keyword function. By this keyword, it identifies that you're declaring your own function. Then function name, list of arguments, and so on and so forth. Here we write, for example, echo and welcome to PHP functions. Okay, semicolon. Again, echo is a statement that we use in PHP to print something on our browser window. So once we write this, we save it. Now, in order to execute this code, again, make sure we go into our start and go into XAMPP control panel. We launch this control panel. Okay, this will enable us to start our local server. Okay, I think I've opened 2 windows of it. So let me just close one. So here we have already Apache server running. This should be a running state in green, and it should not have a problem with that. Okay. So now basically, once you start running the XAMPP server, this means that your system behaves like a what we call server. So अब जितना भी हमारा system में काम हो रहा होगा, basically whatever functions we do now is this system is now behaving like a server. So we go on a browser, and whatever tasks we do on a browser, now browser is our client and this is our server. So from client, we send a request to the server, and the server processes that request and gives a response to the client. So in order to send the request to the server, we go to something called local, L-O-C-A-L, local host. Okay. So once I write a simple local host, my local host dashboard page should appear. If this is appearing, means my server is running perfectly. Now within this, we have created a code inside functions folder. Inside functions folder, there is called test function function.php. Okay, we write this full path of my file name, test function.php. This file has been saved inside this test functions folder. So now if I press enter, I get PHP functions example. Okay, this is the header that was presented through the heading file. However, this code does not get executed yet because we have told it by this is my function, but this is typically known as a function declaration. Yet we have not called the function. Whenever we use function, there are two things that we need to do. First, declare a function, define its body, what this function is supposed to do. Then we need to call this function, which is called function declaration. Okay, so once the block ends, now I have called my function here. This is called function declaration. This basically means that now if I come back into my browser, hit a refresh, now that page was sent to the server, server read that page, generated a response back to the same client window, and now welcome to PHP functions. So whatever code we write inside this function is now executed. To a certain extent, we can write this code in somewhere else as well. So for example, I declare a paragraph. This is just paragraph \p. Okay. Then again, I declare heading 2, for example, test heading heading and \. Now again, in let's declare another paragraph. Okay, this is para 2. We give a br. Okay, so we're still in this paragraph, and now I can again go into this paragraph, write a PHP code to print my output. Okay, so now again I write this line inside a paragraph tag to print my code, which can be, for example, my function. So even though I declared a function in one PHP tag, then I wrote some HTML content, then within another HTML content, I wrote something called inline PHP. Means that within my paragraph tag, now I have another function called PHP. And within this function, I called my PHP function. Come back here, \paragraph. So if I come back here, hit a refresh, you see 1 line, 2 line, and then welcome to PHP function is again executed. So we can even call the PHP function afterwards it has been declared within the same PHP file. Okay. Obviously, we can use external PHP as well, but for now, we are just concerned with the same PHP. So within the same file, we declared a function in one PHP tag. We have HTML tags. Then we called that function again in another PHP tag, which again is allowed. Okay, so this concept is very important to understand. Similarly, this is also considered as an inline PHP because it is written within another PHP tag. Okay, technically it is also same here because this PHP has been written inside the body tag. You can write this PHP outside the body tag as well. So I can write it in HTML form here, even above HTML or after HTML. So it still would perform the same functions. Still it will execute in the same manner. Okay. This time, this line is executed first because once it reads it, we have called this function here. So this gets executed first, then it will come to this line again because we all know that HTML or browser reads the content line by line in an interpreter manner. So now we have executed this function here. Similarly, we can create any type of function that we want. For example, let's create another function here, or let's use this function here. And in this case, function add, for example. Okay. And for add, we use a variable called integer $value1, comma integer $value2. Okay, so this time I create another function called add. In this, I specified specifically type integer, that this is an integer type variable. It's not mandatory that you do. In PHP, you can directly declare a variable without its data type being defined. This variable will be initialized with whatever value we give for the first time, and the data type will be assigned. However, sometimes it's also recommended to ensure that you give a proper value. Now, what we need to do is inside this, I can declare another variable. For example, answer is equals to $value1 plus $value2, semicolon. And then we can echo this result out. The result, RESULT, the result of add is, okay, adding the result of adding $value1 plus with $value2 is and $answer. Okay, so now what we did, we printed the result, but we printed the result in form of string. We did that, declare a function with the same function keyword, which is basically the declarative word. Add means it is going to add, this is my function name. Okay, the name can be anything. Usually we give a name so that we understand what is the purpose of function. In this, we gave two arguments. These are known as arguments. Argument means that once you call this function or once you intend to execute this function, in order to do that, you need to provide it two values, two arguments, two initial values based on which it will perform its actions. Without this value, this function will not execute. So it's a mandatory thing as well that in order to use this function, you need to provide two values. Okay. In programming, we refer to them as arguments. So argument 1, value 1, argument 2, value 2. Block start, block close. Within this, we create another variable. Note, I haven't defined its data type. I can do that. Variable 1, variable 2, we add them together. Whatever is the result will be now assigned to answer. Simple mathematics, nothing typical, anything. Then we printed the result on our web browser window. To print, we use the string add. Now we use $1 here. This is again something that is allowed, I believe, only in PHP. I have not seen thing anywhere else. You can use the variable directly inside a string in PHP. So this is a variable value 1. So it will print the value of v1 here. But because we have used it inside a string, in other languages, this would not be read. In other languages, you would have to give the concatenation operators. But in Java, in PHP, this is perfectly allowed. For example, if you are from JavaScript, we would have to write the result of add, then close string, then plus, then $v1, see, then again plus, then string with keyword, then string close, then again plus operator, then again $, then again v2 for a variable, then again plus string start is, and then again plus, and now dollar and answer. So if you are coming from Java or C++ or JavaScript, you would have to write a string something like this, in which basically it means that string starts from here, ends here, and then add the value of v1 or join the value of v1. Here it will, this plus will behave like a concatenation operator. It will join this string with whatever is the value of v1. Then whatever is the final output of this entire string will be added with this with variable. Okay, so because this is a string, we write this within that. Then whatever is the answer of this entire string will be added plus value of v2. So the value of v2 will be printed here. Then whatever is the value will be used with is operator. So it complicates lots of things. Okay, so for a normal person means that variable has to be used with a plus operator. It cannot be used within a string. PHP makes things a lot more easy. PHP says, because I've used a dollar, I will identify this dollar as my own specific variable identifier. Because of that, we can use this dollar directly within the string without complicating it. However, if you want to use it outside the string, we use it with a dot operator. So I can change this string here with the dot operator as well. So instead of plus in PHP, we use a dot operator. So we can concatenate this using dot operator instead of plus. So, but again, this complicates things. So PHP has simplified lots of issues. So this is a typical PHP string, and this is again a valid thing if I write echo here. This means again join v1 with this thing, and then whatever is the total result of this, join that with and join that result with v2, and then join it with is, and join it with answer. But once you write it here, now it's more easy to read that the result of add $1 value with $2 value is final answer. Okay, so in PHP, this is something unique that we can do. We can print the variable value directly inside our echo string. Now, this is the called function declaration. We declared a function. In order to print or use this function, we come inside our code and we say, for example, let's just use another paragraph. The tell me the ANSW answer of. Now I need to call this function. So what I do is I use question mark PHP, add 5, 5, for example, semicolon, question mark, bracket close. And I can say value of, for example, 5 plus 5 in a string. So this is PHP, and we close this string. Now what will happen, that it will say tell me the answer of 5 plus 5, and then we call the PHP code, inline PHP code. We write this string within our PHP tag. What this will do, this means now PHP is executed. Within PHP, we called the add method that we just declared here, add function, and we gave it 2 values. This is called passing the arguments. Okay, it requires 2 arguments, integer value v1, integer value v2, 2 number form. So now we passed it 2 numbers. Okay, so this means that in order to execute this method, you need to give it 2 values, and by giving 2 values means if within your brackets we give value 5, we give value 5. Semicolon again is mandatory, and then we close the PHP tag so that now the server will know that I need to read this code only as a PHP code. And then we close the paragraph tag. Okay, Control S, we come back here, hit a refresh, and then tell me the answer of 5 plus 5. The answer of add 5 with 5 is 10. This is the result that we generated from the PHP function. Okay, so see this, the value of 5 plus 5 is concatenated within the string. We can give it, for example, BR, we can give it bold, we can give it underline if you want. Okay, and even I can make this thing in color, or you can give styles or whatever tags you want to write within echo statement as well. They will all be respected and executed correctly. So if I come back here, hit a refresh, so bold, underline on a new line, the answer is being printed. So now what we've done here is simply we try to use our own custom functions. We build our own custom functions, we give it certain tasks. The purpose of function is that we can use it again and again. So we come back here, now again I can use dollar question mark PHP, and in this case, sorry, let's just go back here. I use the add method, and then I can say, for example, 67 comma 65 bracket close semicolon question mark here. So this becomes my PHP code. Then I can execute this as many times as I want, and I can change the values. Okay, so whatever value you change, you can use that, for example, and you can process them, multiply them, divide them, on you can use multiple methods for that. So once I come back here, hit a refresh, now the result of all these calculations is generated. So you can call the PHP as many times as you want. I can only use one PHP and call the add function multiple times as well. So for example, I use here, and instead of using that many PHP within this PHP, I can call add function. Okay, home, tab, and add. So I can also do that as well. So the advantage is that we have used a function, but function means a block of code, a set of code that performs a specific task, and that task can be anything. The advantage becomes is that because you write the code once, now you can execute it so many times again and again. By just varying the values, you can obtain different answers every time you do that. Okay, so every time you add as different thing, you can put different values here. Control S, we can call it single line every time like this. We can declare a function PHP, sorry, we can call the PHP and its function within it in a one single line as well, as many times within the page. So Control S, we go back here, hit a refresh, and the answer is generated in the tag form accordingly. So this is simply doing addition. Similarly, you can do whatever task you want, multiply, divide, or any other code. So PHP functions are very cool way, a very powerful way of using functions within our system, and they allow us to execute some block of code again and again without being in need of writing something again. Similarly, we create, and there are, like I said, more than 1,000 functions of PHP that facilitate and print lot of valuable information for ourselves. Okay, so I hope you understand this basic concepts of functions. I will be talking and doing more examples of function in next classes. So do listen to the lectures, follow the lectures, leave your comment below if you understand it still. If you don't understand it, leave the topic down. Okay, which topic you don't understand, so we can basically discuss that. Okay, so do watch the video lectures if you are clear about the topics, not only this but previous lectures and other lectures that I will be uploading now. If you understand everything, still like that video and leave a comment below. Okay, so that I understand that you are people understanding my concepts. If something you don't understand, leave the topic down so that I can reply and leave a feedback to you. So do go to my YouTube or on your LMS, watch the videos and leave your feedback here. Now, any questions, any problem that you don't understand right now?